Maggie Davis, and today I am happy to be joined by one of the BBN's all-time favorites. It's Maci Morris. Maci, first of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Where are you right now? Back in Bell County?
Pretty much, yeah.
For the most part?
For the most part.
Right. Well, I want to start off, sort of flashing things back to a couple of months ago before coronavirus took over the world. You were playing professional basketball in Italy. Obviously, that all had to change when COVID sort of came into the picture, especially in Italy and all across Europe. How is the season going before that?
It was going really well. We were planning on going to the playoffs with where we were ranked out of the 12 teams. We were like right in the middle of the bunch. If we would have won some games, we could have got ranked higher. But regardless, I think we would have made playoffs, and we made another tournament that happens during the season. And so we were doing really well, and we were really coming together, but it got cut short, obviously.
Yes. And how did you realize that things were going to be cut short? When did you realize things were starting to get pretty serious?
So at first, it was just they were, I guess, putting the teams in the north, because in Italy, the northern section was what was hit the hardest in like Lombardy and Milan area. So those teams were kind of cut off from the rest of the people or the rest of the competitions. And they were just saying we'll make those games up once this passes by. And then like it ended up going from them just being canceled to the whole league getting postponed. They were going to try to start it back up like towards the middle of April, and then they canceled all of it. And then it was like everything happened so quick. It was like in a week and a half where everything just happened, and then like the travel ban got put in place. And so I was like, yeah, I was contacting my agent. I was like, yeah, I need to get out of here.
Like, I need to be home.
Yeah.
And like you said, like we all sort of thought, oh, this will pass, pretty quickly. And then here we are like 3, 4, 5 months later, still really in the thick of things like that. What was the team's attitude once you realized like, oh my gosh, like this season is about to just get totally cut short? And like you said, you were poised to, make a run in the postseason, hopefully go to the playoffs and do well there. How did the team handle that? How did you handle that?
It was just a lot of uncertainty. We really didn't know what to think. I was more concerned of just being able to get home because I didn't want to get stuck over there. I really didn't know what was going to happen. The other girls, they didn't really know much. The whole league really didn't know what was going to happen because we didn't know when we could go back to normal, and obviously it never did. So it was just really uncertain.
Right. And what was the process like to get home? I know you said you called your agent, you're like, help, get me out of here. But was it difficult at all to sort of get out of that contract with your team, get home, get a good flight, all that sort of stuff? What was that process like for you?
Yeah, so I had to contact my agent. My agent had him and my team, they kind of went back and forth a little bit because they didn't really want to end my contract. And if they did, they didn't really want to pay for me to go home. But my agent's like, yeah, she can't, like, this isn't her fault. Like, you guys got to send her home. And
so pandemic.
Yeah. And so
not normal circumstances.
Yeah, they ended up getting me a ticket, and that was probably the hardest part, was just trying to find a ticket that wasn't getting canceled, because sometimes you would go and you're about to check out and then the flight gets canceled right then and there. So it was just trying to find and get it on the flight. And I was pretty nervous until I left Amsterdam flying into Atlanta, because I was afraid, even though I was on the plane from Florence going to Amsterdam, I was like, well, maybe they'll just hold me up in Amsterdam, or I might not meet the time slot to where the travel ban gets put in place, and then I'm stuck. So it was really nerve-wracking.
And it was all moving so fast. Like, I feel like there wasn't a travel ban, and then you check the news and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, there's no more coming home. So I'm glad you were able to make it just in time.
Yeah, me too.
And then once you were back in Kentucky, I guess you had to self-quarantine, right? For like 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks. I stayed in my house for 2 weeks.
Luckily,
where I live, there's nobody else around me, so I could go outside and enjoy outside. But yeah, I was stuck for 2 weeks.
Yeah. How did you keep yourself busy? What did you do to pass the time for 2 weeks?
I was continuing to work out. I was spending time with my family. I was going fishing. I probably went fishing more in 2 weeks than I've ever had in my life, but I was not complaining about that.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice to slow down and just do stuff like that with your family, although I'm sure you miss playing basketball? What's that been like, having to transition from playing professional basketball to all of a sudden you're just at home, like unable to compete?
It's different. I was actually talking to some of my former teammates and friends and stuff, and I'm like, this is really the first time I've ever had a summer off that I wasn't playing
Right.
basketball, I wasn't doing anything. So it's been different, and I've actually enjoyed it, just being able to do things that I haven't got to be able to do before.
Right. I can see where that would be nice. I mean, you go straight from collegiate basketball where your schedule is so strict all the time to playing overseas where you're playing all the time. And now you're like, well, I guess I'm just going to kind of hang out and see how this thing goes. But now it's official. You are going back to the basketball court eventually once everything sort of resumes, I guess. You'll be playing pro basketball pretty close to home with the Tennessee Conductors. How did you make that decision that you'd rather stay here in the United States and play here as opposed to trying to go back overseas and get with another pro team there?
So one of the owners of the team, he actually played high school basketball with my dad in Cumberland, Kentucky, and he reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, we're going to start this new league up," and he said, "I want you to be on the team and just help get it going." And so I was going to have the opportunity to play with two of my other former teammates from UK, Taylor Murray and Michaela Epps, and we put Kevin Gooden Rogers on the team too. So it's three of my former teammates, and I was just really excited to be able to play with them again and just enjoy their presence and get to play ball.
Yeah, that's awesome. When the news came out that all three of you were going to be playing there, I think that's to me when I was like, oh, this is a big deal. Like, this team has three former Wildcats. All of them are great basketball players, three of the best guards UK hoops has had in recent history. So did you know that they were going to be coming with you when you signed on to play with the Conductors, or sort of what was that process like? When did you all know you were going to get to reunite on the basketball court?
So I didn't know, like, at first. I really didn't know what the whole league was about. And then Paul, he's the one of the owners. He asked me, he's like, "Do you have anybody in mind that you would like to have with you?" And I was like, immediately, I was like, "Taylor, Michaela."
Yes.
I definitely told him about them because we could have 2-point guards or a guard. I mean, they're just versatile, so we could do whatever. And so I told them, and then we just kept building after that. So
That's awesome. You fired up the old group chat, I guess, from the UK days, and you're like, "Hey guys, do you want to do this again?" That's awesome. And hopefully you'll be close enough you can even make a road trip or two up to Lexington and see the UK team play next year, assuming we have college basketball, I guess.
yeah, I'm hoping so. I hope we have all college sports because I want to get back involved with that. And I always loved the environment up there. So hopefully I can come back to a game.
Yes, well, the BBN would love to see you. What's the plan right now for when the Conductors should be starting? I know that's sort of been up in the air as well. You know, when we're all still kind of waiting to see how this whole thing pans out over the next couple of weeks and months. But what's the plan right now? What are you all planning on doing?
As of right now, the season won't start. They're not going to start until next May, because obviously, like, they don't even know like what's going on now. And for women's basketball, most people go overseas to play to make their money, and so they try not to like start a league during that time. And so yeah, they're just going to start in May.
Great, great. Well, hopefully that all works out, and I'm sure some members of the BBN will even be making the trip down there to see you all in action.
Oh, I definitely don't doubt that.
Are you so excited to be playing back in the United States again? I mean, I'm sure Italy was an experience, but just from a cultural perspective, are you excited to be back playing in America?
For sure. I mean, it's nice I don't have to travel across the sea so many hours on a long plane to go play basketball. But I was super grateful for the opportunity and wish it didn't have to get cut so short. But to be back to play and get an opportunity to play with two of my teammates and best friends, I mean, I would take that over going overseas any day.
Yes, better than the pasta. You choose that over a lifetime of Italian pasta.
Oh, their pasta was something else, but I'd pick my friends over food.
Oh, that's a good motto. I like it. I like it. Anything else you want to add to your fans in the BBN?
Just go Cats.
Great. Well, it was great catching up with you, Maci. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Awesome. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.